If you're looking to either buy a gaming PC or sell a gaming PC, then it's actually either never been a better time to buy a gaming PC or it's probably the worst time of your life, especially if you're selling a gaming PC, to make any kind of money. Now, speaking to some of my viewers, they're even sending me in pictures saying, Brian, it's so tough to sell a gaming PC out here. I've resorted to eating baked beans too. And I just looked at that baked beans picture on toast and I said, whew, actually looks kind of good. But let's talk about buying PCs first. Then if you're a seller, we'll get onto some tips and tricks that I've noticed personally and I'll share with you guys in today's video. But in terms of buying a PC right now, it's actually kind of a weird market. In fact, it's so weird to the point where if you're looking to buy a high-end gaming PC, you may want to wait till January at the very least, with strong rumors of the RTX 5090 coming out, but also looking at the prices of RTX 4090s, they haven't budged at all nearly in the last 6 months. They're actually out of stock in some areas in the US, and in Australia they're overpriced for what they are. And then the high-end gaming CPU to couple with that, the 9800 X3D has just been launched, and that's not coming down in price anytime soon, because from reports of what I'm hearing, at least from local sellers here in Australia, it's selling incredibly well. But what about the mid-range and low-end PCs? Well, there's actually some very different news there. It's probably never, ever been a better time to buy one of these gaming PCs. And let's talk about all that right after today's video sponsor.
If you want to get rid of this annoying Activate Windows message, then today's video sponsor SCD Keys has you covered for as little as $15 after you enter that coupon code BFTYC. You can cop yourself a legit single end user license today. Also works for Windows 11 Pro 2. Links in description below.
Welcome back to Tech Yes City. Now, low-end and mid-range gaming PCs, definitely where it's at right now. If you're looking to buy a PC and get some of the best value you can get for your dollar. We're seeing even in Australia to the point where there is this sort of focus on hyper competition to the point where I'm seeing even some PC builders here just charge $0. And that's in terms of making money on the PC. They're just selling it at cost. And that's already coupled in with the fact that the PC parts around the mid-range are actually extremely cheap right now. For instance, RX 6600s and even the 6000 series cards on the used market are extremely cheap if you want to get into PC gaming and get some good FPS at 1080p or 1440p. Coupled in with an inexpensive CPU, for instance, like the Ryzen 5 5500 on a B550 motherboard, you've got yourself an incredibly potent combo that's actually more or less a mid-range PC, but you can almost have it for the price of a low-range PC. So buying on the new market for either an RTX 4060 or an RX 6000 series GPU or even an RX 7000 series GPU, these kinds of PCs right now are really well priced. So in terms of an entry-level or a mid-range gaming PC, I just don't see it getting a whole lot better, except one little curveball there. And that is Intel are introducing their Battle Mage graphics cards very soon, in fact. And so maybe just wait 1 or 2 days, see what that's kind of bringing to the table. But again, I don't think it's going to affect at least the whole price of a gaming PC a whole lot. So on that front, new PC, very good value. And in fact, if you're looking for a used PC, you may even be able to pick up an even better bargain. And here's where I'm noticing on the mid-range, there is a huge crunch. In fact, I've never seen so many gaming PCs for sale around this mid-range price point where I am locally. And a lot of people have been messaging me going, Brian, sales are very tough right now. And here's where at Tech Yes City, we do practice selling gaming PCs. It is a backbone of the channel in ways. It's a passion here of mine. And here's where I've personally never seen the market this bad if you want to sell a gaming PC. In fact, the low end is actually starting to move quite a bit, but it's nowhere near as good as it was as last year, for instance, or all the years before that. The mid-range, however, is easily the worst area to sell right now, where I'm having a very tough time to the point where I'm having to look at my competitors' prices daily and just keep undercutting them to the point where I'm hoping to get a sale just this month, get rid of all the stuff that I got in previous months. I'm hoping just to clear that even with very minimal margins. So that's what I'm hoping for, because I don't like losing when it comes to flipping gaming PCs. But also there is some economic factors in that we have to look at here. For instance, if you're in Australia, they're saying that retail sales have actually increased, but these retail sales, I don't think they account for inflation, but they're not accounting for the fact that our population has grown massively in that time frame, as well as if we look at some other economic factors going on here locally. We're seeing the delinquency rates, for instance, and that's the time where someone misses a mortgage payment by 30 days or more. That's on the rise. And in fact, if we look at the total number there, that's up 33% year over year. So that's actually a huge statistic to look at, because it means that people have less money to pay back even the core necessities in their life, like their mortgage. And there's pretty much nothing more important in Australia than a house that you live in and making sure you continue to live in that house. So when we look at that factor alone, that's actually painting a very different picture to these rosy sales are going crazy right now over this period. And so I'm just seeing a very different picture here, especially when it comes to selling PCs. And I'm also seeing the introduction, as we talked about in the intro, of the hyper competition here in Australia, where there are a lot of PC sellers that, even though they're sold out of their stuff, they're selling at zero margins. So just like we said earlier in the video, if it's never been a better time to buy the entry level or mid-range gaming PC, then it's never been worse a time to sell. So the opposite effect is coming in here. Though keep in mind, this is just what I'm seeing in Australia. If we look at the economic data in America, it's actually looking a bit better than that of here in Australia. So it seems like we're going from a bit of a shift from this whole global trend, where I used to make these predictions just generally in terms of macroeconomics. Seems we're going from macroeconomics now to more of a shift to microeconomics, where policies, and especially economic policies, are changing from country to country. And this is definitely going to affect things like PC sales going forward, to the point where instead of just a one and done video on the global situation, I may have to make economic videos for each particular country, but just by looking at the statistics. Hey amigo, LPC, great timeo to bio. But back to the situation in Australia. Here's where I've been talking to various retailers, various friends. Everyone's telling me the same thing. Sales are definitely a lot worse this year than they were last year. So last year was a lot healthier. And in fact, last year wasn't really that crazy out of the norm versus years before it. This year, however, is definitely a different kind of year, where depending on who I talked to, I actually spoke to a friend at more of a boutique retail shop for computers. They were telling me business was down around 80% year over year, which is absolutely insane. So if they were selling 5 PCs in a week last year, they were selling 1 PC a week this year. And then if I speak to bigger retailers, some of the biggest PC retailers here in Australia, they're telling me sales are down around about 20%, but they're also telling me the trend within those sales is crazy, to the point where they're seeing that the most popular selling CPU is the 9800 X3D. And then if we look at the most popular GPUs that are selling, they're telling me 4070 Supers and 4070 Ti Supers. So what we're seeing is sort of a shift from low and mid-range to high-end customers. And that's something that is sort of a trend that I'm noticing personally with the sales of PCs. Another thing I've noticed as well, if you're selling a PC, you may wish to look into something that I have to experiment with personally. I haven't done it yet, but that's the usage of Prism fans in your PC. In fact, I've been getting quite a few messages about these Prism builds. People have said, oh, can you build me something like this? I'm really curious to build it. And my response is, well, I don't even know where to get those fans from yet. And so I've looked into it, and apparently I have to order them from AliExpress. And especially if you want to build a new PC, it takes a lot of time if you're going to be fitting the thing out with like 7 to 9 fans. And so I'd like to look at the option that the pre-built case with all those fans installed with the RGB controller. It saves a lot of time. But if you've got a seller locally that's selling a Prism style case at a decent price, you may wish to look at that if you're looking to flip a PC. So that's a little hint that I thought I'd give you guys here. If you're selling PCs, it's always about the aesthetic, but I think it's never been more so focused in getting that aesthetic now to perfection if you want to beat out your competition and also make a little bit of a healthy buck in the process. Though the final thing that I want to talk about is trends within PC gaming itself. Because years ago, we had this massive rush and influx into PC gaming, where first of all, it was PUBG, and then it definitely moved over to Fortnite. And as long as you were selling a gaming PC that was focused on Fortnite, you were making good sales. But now there's trends that are happening, at least here in Australia, where people have talked to me about this, even PC retailers, and they've said, Brian, look at what's going on around you. Have you seen a lot of these young guys, they're riding these e-bikes, these kind of hybrid cross bike looking motorbikes that have got just batteries in them. And I said, I've noticed that a lot. And he said, well, those guys, instead of going out and buying a gaming PC to play Fortnite, they're getting an e-bike. And so we're kind of seeing this shift away from the typical Fortnite Bro PC craze that came through, and it's actually shifting to areas outside of PC gaming. And so I think for the health of the young guys, I think maybe the e-bike's a bit better. They're getting outside and they're not gaming so much. But for PC sellers, it's another trend that's coming in that's affecting the sales. So there's a few things right now. I'd look at the economic data. It's very nuanced, but also I'd look at the trends in terms of people are leaving the low and mid-range and going to the higher end. That's definitely a trend that's coming in. And then of course we've got other things like these e-bikes coming in. And then we've also got a lot of people selling those types of PCs and wanting to upgrade to the higher end. And then lastly, we've got the hyper competitive sellers that are definitely crunching the low and mid-range. So all these factors right now, I'm looking at trying to explain why my mid-range PCs, in particular the mid-range, definitely the mid-range, the sales are so abysmally bad right now. And also if you're a potential buyer of a PC, then definitely look at getting a mid-range PC. It's never been a better time. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button and also let us know in the comment section below, what is your situation so far? A lot of people in the parts hunt recently said that, yeah, it's a pretty tough time to sell a PC. Some people were having success in their local area depending on where they live. So yeah, good advice in the comments as always. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.